Midterm exam for CAD 105 using ProEngineer version 5. In this exam review, we'll take a look at how to develop and create our bottle assembly and eventually create our drawing. As you can see, there's the 4 steps that are listed here. First step is to model the bottle, which is labeled drawing A. Second is to model the cap, which is drawing B, both of which are 50 points, so it's a total of 100 points between the two of them. And then the third thing is create the bottle assembly by basically attaching the cap to the bottle. That's worth 100 points. And finally, recreate the medicine bottle assembly drawing, which is labeled the letter C, and that's worth 100 points as well. Print it in, or print it and turn it in. Here you can see the bottle design. The bottle is very simple. It's basically just 2 cylinders, one on top of the other, and then the dimensional parameters given. There's some rounds that are put in, and then it's shelled at the end. The cap is a little more complex, but yet pretty simple. It's just basically the very top of the cap is a 1.9 inch diameter, and then it's only a thickness of 100 thousandths. Then we have some ribs and a cutout that we're going to make. And then finally we get to the assembly drawing, and this is the assembly drawing you see here. And we just make a section view, a bottom view, a front view, bottom view, section view, detail view, isometric view, exploded, and a bill of materials. And be sure to put your name on it. So let's begin. We'll start with looking at the bottle. So you can see, if you break it down into its simplest form, we have a 2.5 inch cylinder that is 2 inches in diameter, and then a 1/2 inch thick cylinder that's 1.5 inches in diameter. 100 thousandths is the typical wall thickness, and then the rounds are 100 thousandths as well. I'm going to begin by going to File, New. I'm going to select Part, and I'm going to call this the bottle, and hit OK. I'm going to select the front, actually I'm going to select the top plane in this case to start my sketch, and just draw at the center a circle. So I went to the circle tool, middle click to get the dimension, and dimension that at 2 inches. You'll probably have to hit, you might have to hit the zoom to fit if it's not automatically zooming in for it. At this point, just hit done, find the extrude tool, and be sure to extrude it 2.5 inches, and hit enter. I'm just going to enhance the display settings a little bit here. Okay, now at this point we start a sketch on the top surface of the bottle, and we draw the neck. The neck of the bottle is 1.5 inches in diameter. And it's just drawn on the top surface, and then that gets extruded after we hit done 0.5 or a 1/2 inch. Okay, at this point we could go ahead and put the rounds on. Go to the round tool and make sure it's set to 0.1. And then select the bottom edge, this edge here, and the intersection between the neck and the base of the bottle. Don't select the top edge. And finally we go to the shell command on the right. Click on shell. The wall thickness is 0.1, and select the top face to remove. Hit done, and it is complete. Let's move on to the next part. Go to File, New. This one will be called the cap. If someone's already practiced this or done it before, you might have to call it cap A, B, C, D, or whatever, or 1, 2, 3. And let me shrink this screen down to size. Okay. Now for this, again, we'll select the top plane, start our sketch. And here you could just hit sketch. Draw the diameter of 1.9 inch. Circle there. Zoom to fit. And we could go ahead and extrude that. So we hit done. And go to extrude. And this gets extruded 0.1. At this point, you could actually put the round on it. Make sure it's set to 0.1 in this top edge, and hit done. Rotate the part, select the sketch tool, and select the bottom surface. I'm going to turn off my planes. And now I'm going to go ahead and draw out the next diameter, which is 1.8. And I'll proceed to extrude that. And that gets extruded. I will actually have to look at the blueprint here. That gets extruded a ½ inch. So 0.5. The next thing we can do is start a sketch on that surface on the bottom and draw the opening where the neck will fit in. And in this case it will be 1.5, just like the thickness of the neck of the bottle. This is a line-to-line contact, but for this test that's okay. Normally you'd probably want to put a little distance gap between that. But let's go ahead and hit done. Extrude, flip the direction, and this only gets extruded 0.4. In this case you can see I don't have the extrude showing up. What I accidentally did, if we take a look, if I right click on the feature in the feature tree, extrude 3, and edit definition, I neglected to select the remove material button. It's easy to fix. Okay. Now we start a sketch on the surface here. Take the circle tool, and actually we might want, if we discover here, if we click on the circle tool, we will not actually be able to grab that little edge here. And you might not see the edge if you don't have edges turned on under View, Display Settings, Model Display, Edge Line, under Shade with Edges. If you don't have that turned on, then you won't see this unless you go to Wireframe, which you could do. Okay, but the intent is to get it right on that point. What I can do actually is go to Sketch here and select References and just simply select that edge. And you can select this top edge too. And now we have references to work with. So if I select the circle, I could snap to it, and I could also snap to that top edge. The circle is supposed to be 0.1 in diameter, because that's going to make one of our ribs, and it's going to be extruded out. But if you snap it to this edge, it will automatically be 1.1, so we don't need to add the dimension. So if you can't snap to that edge, go ahead and add the dimension of 0.1. Otherwise, if you snap to it with these references that you've made, you don't have to worry about it. And just hit done, extrude, I'll flip the direction, and then under the right above options here, I'm going to extrude. There's different options here. We could extrude up to next surface, or there's and that's what we'll select, extrude up to next surface. Now the preview doesn't show you, it actually shows it going through. Don't panic, just hit the green check mark and it will apply, and it will not go through that top surface as long as you selected that. The next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and pattern that. So if we select the actual feature and find the pattern tool on the right, over here under dimension we select axis. Now what we need to do is we need to select an axis. Any radial or cylindrical object has an axis built into it in ProEngineer. Just have to turn them on. Over here we have the axis display. I have a very small screen here, so you might actually have it over here somewhere. But find the little eyeball with the axis display. Turn it on and you'll see an axis in the center. Go ahead and select that center axis once you have it. And now, according to the print, there are going to be 50 of these spread out along the full 360 degrees of that model. So, over here we could go ahead, if we don't know the angle, we could type in 50 for the number of instances. And then over here we have the angle actually. Here we could go ahead and type in 360 divided by 50. Hit enter, and it gives you 7.2. And it spreads them out for you. Hit apply. And then you can turn off the axis display. And your cap is done. Okay, so that's each one of those parts is 50 points. Now we move on to create the assembly. So for the assembly we go to New, select Assembly, and just call it the bottle. Now we want to go ahead and insert those parts. So over to the right here we actually have a tool, Assemble. We just select it. It will allow us to search for the parts. We're looking for In Session. So select In Session and you'll see your bottle and your cap. Now be careful not to select the bottle assembly.asm. We want the bottle part. So select the bottle part and hit Open. At this point it lets us position it, but what we can do actually is we go ahead, we'll use the left mouse button to drop it, and then over here under where it gives you automatic as an option, select default. Default will automatically drop it onto the origin of the actual assembly file. If I click on my WCS or my coordinate system, you'll see it's centered now at this point. And then you could hit apply. If you don't have it centered, it will cause you some difficulty later on when you're creating the drawing. So it's a good idea to make sure you practice that step. If you didn't model the bottle centered, again you'll have some issues because basically there's planes inside here. And those planes, you can see, since we're centered, are directly right in the middle. And because of that, it gives us the ability to easily create a section view for our drawing. Otherwise, the section view will probably be offset a bit and it won't come out correctly, and it'll hurt you in the grade when you're graded on the midterm. So be aware of that. Anyway, the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and drop in another part. So we go to Assemble, In Session, and the cap. I'm going to go ahead and just click to drop it. And now I'm going to turn off the planes for a moment here. I could even turn off the coordinate system. Instead of automatic, actually we're just going to go ahead and select a face. We have the ability to click on placement too, be aware of this. We could select that cylindrical face there and match it up to this cylindrical face. Now we could go to New Constraint and select this top face and make sure we select the top surface of the bottle. And actually that's the underside face of the cap that I selected, not the top face. So select that and that. And you could go ahead and, in this case it's setting it to an offset. What we want to do, instead of offset, just select this and hit coincident and apply. Right, the next thing you want to do here is explode it. So if we go to View, Explode, hit Explode View, and it should automatically explode it for you. For the midterm, this is fine to use the auto explode. the final exam we will explore how to manually explode it. But to collapse it, if you want to collapse it again, you go to View, and you could go to Explode and Unexplode View. Okay, the next step here is to create the drawing. This is the final step. So we go to New, select Drawing, and call it the med underscore bottle for medicine bottle, and hit OK. We want to use empty with a format. Make sure the default model is the bottle assembly. If not, you can browse for it. Most likely it will default to that though. Over here though, under format, we're going to browse for one, so hit browse, and you'll find a lot of A formats. Be careful, you want the A underscore format, not A1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all ANSI formats. Those are very large formats. We want to be able to print this out. So select the A format and hit open, and hit OK. Now what we can do is we could insert our different views. So I'm going to right click in the middle of the screen and find Insert General View. Now it'll give you no combined state or default. You could just go with no combined state and hit OK. Now left click to drop the bottle in. On the right side you'll find the drawing view options that appear automatically. What you want to do is go ahead and the very first view type here, make sure it's set to front. Double click on it, and you could hit apply or OK. Actually, once you double click it, will apply it. But then also go to view view states, actually I'm sorry, go to scale and go to custom scale, and let's see, here you could go ahead and type in 0.5 for half scale, and then you'll see the preview there. And that will work. Go ahead and hit close. Now to move this, you click on the view and then you right click and you'll uncheck lock view movement. Now you can relocate it. Now the half scale text, I'll show you how to get to that, but to get to that you'll have to click on the annotate button. At the top here there's an annotate. Now you could grab it, click on it one time so it turns red, and then drag it. And let's just drag it over here into the box. It will move when we move the view. Another option actually is just to right click on it. Click on it once so it turns red, then right click, and there's an option to erase. We really don't need to have that in there right now. We could, I think actually the drawing does put it in automatically in here. Now we'll have to change that. Anyhow, now what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring in a bottom view. So we'll unfold the view. So we go back to layout, the layout tab on the strip here, and go to projection. Drag it and click on it to add it right below it. Click on the front view again that you add, the first one you added, and go to projection and drag off a right side view. Now double click on it and it brings up the options again. As you do this with the double click, make sure you turn on your planes, your plane display, and you'll see why we're going to use that. Now we could go to sections, go to 2D cross section, hit the plus symbol, it'll give us create new, and on the menu manager that pops up to the right, just hit done, and here it's going to prompt us to add a name. Just type in capital A for an AA section view. Now it's asking us for the plane, the menu manager right here. So if you refresh your screen here with the repaint or Control R, you'll see the planes. You want to make sure you select the plane right in the center of the bottle. And if it didn't look like it did anything, make sure you go up there and so you get the right plane. And unfortunately you have to actually select the assembly right plane, because the normal right plane will not work. So you have to kind of move your pointer around until you see this ASM right appear. If this doesn't appear, or if it looks like it's on the left hand side, that would indicate that you drew your part off of the origin, or you didn't properly position it in the assembly. So you might want to go back and look at the video once again. And when you find that assembly right, you'll see the little checkbox appear here. And you can hit apply, and there is our section view. I'm going to hit close and turn off my plane display. And what I want to do is I'm going to click on this, and I want to add an arrow, a section arrow. So when you click on the actual section view, right click then and find add arrows. Select the view to the left of it, and it will drop the arrows in automatically. To reposition the arrows, just click on it one time until it turns red, and hold down the left mouse button and drag the arrows where you'd like to see them. Okay, and now from here, I'm going to go ahead and we need to move the section AA text over. To do that, click on the Annotate tab up at the top left, click on the text, and then just drag it to center it. The next type of view we want to add here is a detail view. Yes, detail view. So we go to Layout, find Detail View, zoom up to the region you want to add the detail view, and click. It leaves a red X, and then click and drag a circle around it, and middle click to close it. And then left click to drop the location. Again, to move the annotations, go to the Annotation tab, click on Annotate, and relocate these so they're not on top of each other. And you could reposition the views if need be. Another view I'd like you to put in here, if we take a look at the print, we have the detail view just completed. We need an isometric view now. For the isometric view, we just right click. Oh, make sure you click on the Layout tab first, up in the upper left. Then right click, Insert General View, hit OK. Left click to drop it. Now this needs to be an isometric view, so click on this little tab and find Isometric. And then under Scale, let's change the scale to 0.5. Hit Apply. And finally, let's go ahead and we're going to explode it. So if we go to View States, you'll find Explode Component. Hit Apply. And close. Again, a scale will appear. Let's get rid of the scale that we see. The way we do that is we have to click on the Annotate tab. Click on the scale one time so it turns red, or red box appears around it. Right click, and you'll find Erase. Okay, one of the annotations I'd like you to add is a center mark. To add a center mark, we're in Annotate. Click on the view you want to add the center mark to. Go to Show Model Annotations, the flashlight up here. On this tab of Show Model Annotations, find the one on the furthest right which has an A on it. And then click on the center mark that you see appear, the largest one, and hit OK. Finally, we want to add a bill of materials. To insert the bill of materials,